Ramblings.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Luna.
Welcome to Higher Ramblings.
That's a good day to be alive.
It is a good day to be alive.
Woo!
Yeah. We're on May 29th.
And it's my parents' birthday. Of marriage.
Well, kind of. Yeah, I guess in a way.
The birthing of marriage.
It is a birthday.
Of their oneness.
It's our 25th anniversary today.
Yeah.
Dun,
dun, dun, dun.
And so, yeah, that is kind of our birthday because
it's their quarter marriage.
when we got married, we became a whole new thing.
Yeah. No.
Our old lives died.
And now you're new.
And we became this one thing of
a tank.
Sako and Matt.
A whole tank.
A whole tank?
Yeah.
Instead of half a tank?
It takes multiple people to run a tank. And that's you two.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that tank is the Niche Clan.
The Niche Clan.
The Niche Tank.
Yeah, so 25 years ago today, Sako and I got married.
Married.
It was 1999.
That was the good days.
I know. Everybody thought the world was going to end in 2000.
It did. It kind of did. Because I was born in your
No, you were the celebration that it continued. Hey, we're still here. What should we do? Let's make a baby.
Okay. Okay, I don't want to really think about that part. Oh my god. Oh yeah. Party time.
Yeah. You're a 2000 baby.
I am a 2000.
A
It's
Y2K
so easy.
baby.
It's so easy to like figure out how old I am.
Yeah, it's good for you.
I know.
You know, it's actually interesting. I've never looked at it, but I wonder, there was this big scare called Y2K before you were born. Mm-hmm. And everybody thought
I think I need a session on that, maybe.
Did you have a session on Y2K?
I don't know, the Y2K curse. The family bloodline.
I don't think I've ever had a freedom session on that, but I don't feel too much trauma about it.
Okay, good.
But
I feel like we're pretty carefree about stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're like, the world's going to end then.
I know what's going to happen.
Biblically, I don't see what's going on here, so I think we're good right now.
I think we're good. So the thing that was happening with Y2K was there was this whole thing about computers having clocks, and when they weren't set up to hit 2000, so suddenly everything was going to reset, and when that happened, then all of our systems were going to crash, and nuclear missiles were suddenly going to start being launched, and it was going to be the end of the world. So everyone was stocking up. Not everyone, but a lot of people were caught up in
your parents
what's going to happen. Yeah, they had a whole stock of food and sandbags and ammo and all the stuff you need.
They're the preppers.
They were at that period. Yeah. So but there were a lot of people that were reading books about Y2K, and I remember being on airplanes and seeing people with their Y2K books, just trying to figure out what's coming. And then Y2K happened, and it was nothing.
Yep.
It was just another day. But I'm just wondering, because we brought it up, was, after World War II, that was the birth of the boomers.
The boomers.
Because there was a big baby boom. Mm-hmm. After World War II, the soldiers came back. They made
was there a Y2K boom?
I wonder. Because everybody suddenly woke up the next day and like, whoa, hey, nothing happened.
Huh.
Let's celebrate and make babies.
Yay! Happy New Year! Probably.
I don't know. I've never looked into that. Was there any kind of
are there a lot of September babies?
I don't know. So that's 9 months, right? Yeah. Yeah, we didn't really decide. You weren't actually related to Y2K.
No, I was decided after my cousin was born.
That's right.
Thank you, Simeon. Shout out to Simeon, the Conehead. He influenced.
Yeah, he was the first of all of the. He was my older brother's first child and the one that set off all the babies to come.
Yes.
Yep. And that was a really terrible delivery, terrible experience, and yet that was the little spark we needed to say, let's make a baby.
And it was my mom who needed that spark.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy because it was like it should have been the situation that would make people say this is horrible, Other.
No, I don't want kids.
Let's put this off forever. Because we're at the hospital the whole time and everything seems to be going wrong. He turned out fine eventually.
After they kind of like pushed his head back together.
Reformed his brain. But it seems like that would be the thing that would turn somebody off. But not Sako. She started crying right there at the hospital and said, I want a baby.
And that was the Holy Spirit.
It was the Holy Spirit.
That was the Holy Spirit.
Because you know what? Every time we had that moment where we both looked at each other, we felt like it's time to have a baby. It's only happened twice, and 9 months later we had you, and then the second time it happened, 9 months later we had your brother Toa. So Holy Spirit, I mean, that's the way he operates in our lives. And my older brother has 6 kids. I'd never asked him if that's how it worked for them, but the Lord did not do that 6 times with us.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that would be scarier than Y2K. There's more of us.
You know what? We would have been great. If that was supposed to happen, we would have all been great. We just didn't have that desire.
I would have been a completely different person. It's
really crazy because really we both had peace, we had agreement, and boom, conceived. And that's the way it worked.
That was the Lord's timing for you.
I know.
That's pretty cool.
It wasn't a whole lot of work or stress or anxiety or any of that. And then we've been married 25 years, and we haven't had any surprise babies or anything like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you guys got saved together?
Yeah.
Before you guys got married?
In 1998. Well, it's interesting because we both had past stories of surrendering our lives to Jesus, but we both, for different reasons, really rebelled and kind of threw that out the window and did our own thing, and got really just disengaged and disconnected from serving the Lord. Mm-hmm. And in 1998, I was 2 years out of college, and I had just turned 25. It was the summer of 1998, and I had just turned 25, or during that summer. And your mom,
about to turn 25.
Yeah, your mom was 22. Soon she would be turning 23, and she was actually had one more semester. She was graduating that following December.
Oh, so you were one of those seniors.
I was 2 years ahead of her.
You're the one weird senior that was picking up the fresh fish.
No, she would when I graduated. So she was 2 years behind me. Mm-hmm. So she wasn't a freshman. But yeah, I was the guy the first American she met when she landed. But we didn't start dating until like 4 years after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother story. But then what happened was I came back from having a vision of Jesus. I came back from Las Vegas to Texas. And
after being in a hole.
yeah, the testimony of being in a hole. Jesus pulled me out of the hole. Mm-hmm. I said, I'll give you all my life. I was going to join my brother and his band in Pennsylvania, but before that I came back to Texas, and I was going to meet him in Texas, and then we were going to go to China to pick up my youngest sister, Abby, and then come back, and then we would go to Pennsylvania together. And in my time of coming to Texas, I hadn't seen Sako in I don't know how long. But she was one of those people that I knew in college, and every once in a while I'd get her to come party with us, but she wasn't really keen on our crowd. Our friends didn't like each other either. And so we didn't get along super well. But every once in a while she'd come and drink with us and come to a party. And then I would say something or do something, and she wouldn't talk to me for months.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of our relationship. We were always frenemies, and our friends were all enemies. Mm-hmm. But when I didn't feel like hanging out with my friends and she didn't feel like hanging out with her friends, we'd go have dinner, and then
you'd say something, and then she wouldn't talk to you.
And then I'd run the evening, and we wouldn't talk again for a while.
Preach. Yeah.
But it always kept us out of any kind of relationship, which I was a very carnal. I was a very carnal person. Mm-hmm. I was very driven for pleasure, and so any girl that would give me any kind of
attention.
If the door opened a crack, I would go.
Oh,
so
okay. I see. There's any way in.
But Sako never. We just never had that relationship. I was in her eyes. I was probably a big alcoholic, druggy party loser, and in my eyes, she was a real snob. But again, we'd just hang out every once in a while, go see a movie, have dinner every 2 months. When I came back from getting saved, when I came back from Vegas and I came to Texas, then she and I we met very randomly. A lot of international students knew my parents because I would bring them over to my parents' house out in the country. They had a pool. We'd hang out, have barbecues, parties, things like that. And so a lot of them had made their way through my parents' house at some point. And it happened that Sako was one of those students. And so she had my mom's number, and she was in her final year of school, and she had some kind of paper she wanted to write. And she called my mom to see if I think she called my mom to see if she knew where I was, because I double majored in English and psychology, and I wrote a lot. And so she wanted some help with a paper. And it happened to be that she called right when I had come back from Vegas. And so it seems like a completely random coincidence.
God timing moment.
But it was a very God timing moment. And right before I started hanging out with Sako, my older brother had this, he looked at me one day and he said, "Matt, I feel like you should marry, I feel like you're going to marry a Japanese woman who's a Christian and plays violin." Which is the most random thing.
I didn't know this.
Oh, you didn't know this part?
No. That's so funny.
It's the most random thing. And when I'd given my life to Jesus in Las Vegas, I told him, God, I don't know anything about your love except that you loved me and you never gave up. You've been pursuing me all this time, and now I recognize that, and I recognize that about your love. So I am not going to get in another relationship until when I do, I am never going to give up.
Famous last words.
Yes, those are terrible things.
Why'd you say
yes,
that?
Don't ever vocalize that. It's like praying for patience. You know?
Yeah. God, I just don't want to be in missions, Lord. Yeah. Boom. A year later, you're in China.
Right. That's right. Yes, famous last words. The power of words. And so I came back to Texas. Sako reached out to my mom. My mom says, "Hey, Matt just happens to be here." Oh. So she and I get together, and we both, of course, she's asking, we start talking and catching up. And for her and my relationship previously, she was very guarded, and I was very shallow. So she was very careful what she would share with me, because she knew anything she said would be used as a weapon against her, because I had a very sharp tongue. And I had friends that would want to hang out with me because they knew I would say things that no normal human being would say. And I was sharp and hurtful person. Sometimes. Anyways, so suddenly we start talking about spiritual things, and I tell her about my story about seeing Jesus in Las Vegas, and we start talking about this stuff, and there's suddenly a safety in our relationship that we'd never had previously. And she shared with me that she actually got saved, gave her life to Jesus before she came to college. When she first flew in from Japan to Texas, she stayed with a Japanese Baptist family, and they shared Jesus with her, and she got water baptized.
Is that the family that I know?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Wow,
yeah,
I didn't know that.
We did church with them when you were little. And then she came to college, and the college we went to was a very white college. Mm-hmm. And it was Southern Baptist, but it was very small white college, and the girls there were very, well, not all of them, but enough of them were very racist. Especially towards the Japanese, because we had Japanese students that came in every semester. Yeah. And so they attacked your mom the first night she was there, while she was in the shower. Mm-hmm. They came and attacked her in the shower. And your mom, being who she is,
fought back.
Beat the crap out of them.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, my mom's pretty cool like that.
Yeah, you don't mess with her.
No, you don't mess with my
mom. But from that experience, and other experiences, she just quit going to church, and she wasn't interested in any of this stuff. If this is the way Baptist,
it's just a bunch of hypocrites.
For her experience was very negative.
Yeah.
And it's not because they were Baptist. It was
Just them.
just these
humans.
people. Yeah, and so she never went to church. She never grew in her relationship with the Lord. Her only experience was giving her life to Jesus, getting baptized, and then becoming very disgruntled with the whole thing very early. And for me, I had lots of divine and spiritual experiences throughout my life. I got water baptized and filled with the Spirit in junior high. But the older as I grew, there were lots of things that happened in our church in junior high and high school. Lots of sexual sin, lots of adultery, and lots of things like that. And then on top of that, I wanted to live for myself and didn't want anybody to tell me what to do. And so I just rebelled. So this is a long story.
This is great.
So my journey led me to Las Vegas. And that was where I had a vision of Jesus. I came back. Your mom called my mom.
Yep.
We ended up getting together to talk about her
Reconnected.
paper. And in the process, talking about Jesus.
The journey.
And we started hanging out more and slowly letting the walls come down. More her, because I wasn't as guarded, but I was having to learn how to control my tongue, which took me a long time.
Yeah.
And my parents invited us both to come to their church, and we both went to their church service on a Sunday morning. And I'd been to that church before, but previous to that, I would go smelling like weed and alcohol and smoke, and I'd go.
And
I would not look good, and
you'd purposefully disrupt the service.
Yes, and I was obnoxious, and I embarrassed my family. Yes, but I was, yeah, but this time was different.
Yeah, it was different.
And so
this time.
your mom and I went with my parents, and we were both actually sober and cleaned up, and I don't remember any of the message, but there was an altar call at the end. Do you want to give your life to Jesus? And your mom and I both went to the front and gave our lives to Jesus. And when we did that together, there was a romantic switch. Well, romantic is, I use that loosely, but there was an interest in one another that we never had before.
Because you're like, oh, we are in the same wavelength.
Yeah. And then, part of it was, okay, as we shared together and she started opening up with me, then she started sharing all these stories. And your mom has so many stories. She's like an incredible person.
A mysterious, she's not a book because it's not laid out right in front of you. It's more of like, she'll just like sprinkle in things. Oh yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
You kind of have to like live life with her and like point something out. She'd be like, oh yeah, I did that one time.
Yeah. And I just had to decide: is she a liar?
I know. There's stories are like,
many
whoa,
incredible things. But then
How
after
did
I
you
get to
do
know her
that?
family and everything, I'm like,
oh, this makes so
okay,
much
this is all
sense
true.
now.
Her life is true. She needs
My
to write a
mom
book.
is an Asian soap opera. To be honest with you, she's that cool.
Yeah, she's pretty cool.
It's an action.
But part of her opening up with me, she shared with me that she grew up. Yeah, I knew about the tennis thing. I didn't know the full story that she was being trained to be a tennis pro from the age of 3.
Yeah.
And she went to junior Wimbledon and she did all these amazing things,
Yeah.
And there's so much in that story. But also, since she was a little child, she was being raised up in the Tokyo Orchestra or Symphony, one of those.
Yeah.
And she was trained by one of the best violinists in playing violin. And that came out, and so I found out she played violin, and of course I was like, "Wow, that's incredible! You're Japanese, you love Jesus, and you play violin.
Things are connecting." Whoa!
This is wild." So I guess my brother's comment, was it the word of the Lord? And so I mean, of course,
did you tell her up front that's what, or did you tell her later when y'all?
You'll have to ask her that because I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember, but
Hey, this sounds very familiar. I think I'm supposed to marry you.
I don't think I was that much of a doofus. But
I
you have to ask her. But yeah, so that's when suddenly things started happening, and I knew that I told the Lord, the next person that I got in relationship with, this was I was gonna love them like He loved me, and so I knew that going into this relationship there was no quit, no surrender.
Yeah.
But as I prayed and as I sought the Lord, I felt like, you know what, this is it.
Yeah.
This is the woman that I'm supposed to go after. And no matter what comes, I can't quit. And that was the beginning of hell.
For the both of you.
Yeah, for the both of us. Our engagement was insane.
Guys, the intro into y'all's relationship was so cute, but then when the engagement started, that was pure hell.
It was pure hell. So yeah, so we started dating in like August of 1998, and then I moved to Pennsylvania. And we had this long distance because she was in Texas, still finishing up her last semester. But I would come back to Texas, and she would come to Pennsylvania. And we emailed and talked on the phone like every day.
Dear Sako,
Yeah.
this is what I did today. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, it's crazy. But we actually, I mean, you guys like text all the time. We didn't do that. We didn't have that.
I just send like
so we'd
memes
actually
or
wrote
something.
letters. This was when email just kind of started getting big.
Yeah.
And so we still wrote emails like we would letters.
Did you write
and so they were
poetry
long.
for my mom?
Absolutely. I
That's
wrote her
little
poetry.
songs.
I wrote her songs. That's
What a romantic.
that was me.
Yeah.
And but we started dating in August, and then I asked her to marry me
Spring.
in November, her birthday weekend.
August, September, October, November. Okay. 4 months of dating.
Yeah. Well, less than that, probably.
Nice.
September, October, November. It's more like 3
When
months.
you know, you know.
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And then so I asked her to marry me in November.
Yeah.
I met her mom for the first time at her graduation in December. Her mom was like, this is not a good idea. My parents were like, you guys, this is not a good idea.
Oh, no. No.
Nobody initially who saw us or knew us thought this was a good idea. My friends hated her. Her friends hated me.
Why didn't your parents think it was a good idea?
It was quick.
Oh, okay.
And we come from, she's Japanese, I'm American. We come from very different families, very different cultures.
Yeah.
And then, so I asked her to marry me in November, and we got married the following May.
Wow. November, December. Wow.
Yeah, so things moved very quickly. But for that engagement period, which was like 9 months, she called off the wedding like every other day. And so it was a very spicy relationship.
Don't say that. It's a very spicy relationship.
Very
It
spicy.
was.
Yes, we fought a lot. And the funny thing was we were long distance fighting, and then we'd get together and
then
fight.
fight.
And like,
some of them would be knife fights. Some of them.
yes, together was definitely more physical and more violent. And Sako came from being in abusive relationships previously, and so she would fight back. I mean, she's a fighter. Physically, she's a fighter. And
you're more of.
I was a very sharp tongue. And so her response would be to start swinging when I would say something hurtful. For me, I grew up. I'm not a violent person physically, and then, but I was in social work, and I was trained in what was called safe physical management.
Oh no!
And so it's putting people in holds so that they don't hurt you and don't hurt themselves.
Hold.
So our relationship was very unhealthy. And it was crazy because we both had a radical experience with Jesus. We both loved the Lord. We were both very involved, especially after we got married. We were when she came to Pennsylvania, we were both involved in the worship team. We started a ministry for migrant workers. I had a band And so we were doing these, and we were involved in the youth ministry. We were involved in everything, and we both had prayer lives. We were both studying the Word. So spiritually, we were on fire, and we were actually radically different people than we were months previously.
Yeah.
Relationally,
Y'all were like two different people. One, when you guys are together, it's different, and then when you
right,
guys...
our public persona was very different a lot of the time. Sometimes it would bubble out and make very awkward situations in groups of people.
I see.
Like one time I had a birthday party for Sako. I think that was right after we got married. It was our first year together. I had a surprise birthday party for her.
No, I was out. If it's a surprise and she walked out, I was also there.
No, that was in Pennsylvania. It was in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
You were not conceived yet. No, you weren't conceived yet. It was her first birthday after we got married. Mm-hmm. I organized a whole surprise birthday party. She was angry, and I could not get her. We were fighting, so I could not get her to come to the surprise birthday party. And no matter what I did, I could not get her to come to her own party. And so eventually I had to go to the party and tell everyone, "Hey, Sako's not coming. Surprise!" It's so awkward. But that was our early relationship. We fought constantly before we got married. We fought even more once we did get married because we were around each other all the time. Sako always kept a bag packed, and she was ready to leave. And she had a lot of ambition. I didn't have a lot of ambition, but I was playing in a band, and she had all kinds of big connections before marrying me. And so there was all these things that were just conflict. Yeah. But then, and they would get violent. We just had a very violent relationship. I never hit her, but I would keep her from hitting me. I would put her in, I would use safe physical management until she calmed down.
Therapeutic hold.
Yeah. We'd be rolling around on the ground, and it was not sexy.
Oh, man.
So.
Then what changed?
Well, the thing was, like I said, we both had radical experiences with Jesus. We both had a spiritual life. But what I was praying for the first year solid, I was praying, God, fix Sako. And she was praying, God, fix Matt. And so we both dreaded coming home from work because we knew we were going to fight. And it finally came to that point about a year in when we got to the place. Sometimes you have to go through some hardships in order to get you to soften up. And it's so easy to constantly look at what's wrong with everybody else, but you finally have to come to the point where you'll say, okay, God, fix me. And that's what it was for both of us. We didn't realize it at the time, but at the same time, God changed both of our hearts. We both came to a place where I started praying, Lord, fix me. Help me to be the man that you want me to be for her. And she started praying, Lord, fix me. Help me to be the wife that you want me to be for Matt. So we didn't talk about that, but we separately had that heart change. And then when our prayers changed, then we started actually being flexible in the hands of God so that he could form us together.
Well, that's good.
We weren't trying to change the other person. We were willing to be made whole by God.
And to be aligned with his design for the both of you.
Yeah. And if we could have gotten that,
in the beginning, it would have been so much easier.
Yeah, it would have been so much better.
Your engagement wouldn't have been hell.
It would not. But we both just surrendered our lives to Jesus and then jumped into this relationship, and it was really a whole lot of grace of God. And there was one point in our engagement where I finally was just done. I was so tired of the on and off thing. And and I finally determined, Lord, I really want to quit. Would you please tell me I can quit this relationship? And I went to my first prophetic meeting. It was my first time ever going to a meeting that was like a prophetic meeting where the leaders were giving words. Yeah. And so I went there wanting to hear a word from God about this relationship. But all they did, it was wild because the leaders were prophesying over me that I was supposed to be a pastor. And I was so irritated. I was so angry. I just said this prophetic stuff is a joke, because God didn't use it to speak to me about what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah. I don't care about the pastor part. You should have told me that it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I have no interest in that. Tell me about my relationship. What am I supposed to do? And all I wanted was God to give me an out because I was done. But he didn't give me an out.
No, he was trying to fix you.
And it was also at that point that I was always the one that Sako broke off the relationship. I was always the one that pursued and got the relationship back together. She'd break it off. I'd pursue. She'd get it back together. That was the time when I was done that she finally pursued. And she came back and she apologized. And she said she wanted to get married and be together. That was the one time.
That one time.
But that was the important time, And so in the mix of all of that, it was hard. It was as much as all the things going on spiritually and quitting all the things that had controlled my life and changing lifestyles for both of us, because we both came together really a couple of lost wrecks, and the Lord was doing so much. But it was also our relationship with one another, and all of that crashing and pounding is as much as I know. People were telling me this relationship is so toxic. This relationship is so dysfunctional. You guys should not be together. I knew she was the one. I'd already made a commitment in my heart with God. And I had that what seemed like a silly word from my brother, but for me it was the word. It was a prophetic statement. And all these things played together, and I knew in my heart she was it. And there was no quitting unless God told me I could. And obviously God wasn't going to tell me I could.
Yeah. Nope.
And and of course all of this is coming from me. She has her own story about going through all of this, and I gave her so many reasons why she shouldn't be with me. My tongue, I was mean, I was selfish, and of course we had all our things. It seemed like everything in the natural was against us, but I had what I believe to this day is that I had a word from the Lord, and that was enough to get us through.
You held on to it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so here we are 25 years later.
So what advice do you have for those who are thinking about doing marriage or going into it? What are your advice for marriage?
Wow.
For let's say like me,
Yeah.
me and Elijah.
Yeah.
What would your advice be for me and Elijah?
It would be, do you have a word? Are you willing to hold on to that word till death do you part?
Oh man, depends on which one's gonna kick the butt first.
Yeah, your mom has always
Oh my
been
gosh.
pretty safe because the women in her family live till
Guys, the
100,
Japanese can live years. The thing is, I said that to Elijah. He said, "But you're living in America." And I was like,
You have not been living the Japanese lifestyle.
I've not been eating that organic stuff. I've been eating Lunchables.
I can't tell you. So here we are 25 years later. And your mom and I started off so badly. We started off with so much conflict, but every year the conflict decreased and we came more into alignment, And so every year we sit down and we celebrate our anniversary by having a debriefing. We talk about the previous year. And we talk about what has God done? What do we see? What do we believe the Lord's doing for the year coming up?
I didn't know you guys did that.
We envision the future together, and then we say, let's give it another year.
Let's go. Handshake.
One step at a time.
Okay, go team. Let's go.
Let's go. And I say that jokingly, but for us, it's become kind of our tradition together each year. But every year we've come more into unity. We've become more of a team, and a lot of people will have this very dreamy beginning, but they don't face the hardships till later on. For us, we were made solid. We are very solid in our relationship and in our trust. We are far from perfect. But we're strong. We're strong, and that is an amazing thing. That's a God thing.
That is a God thing.
You know.
So the theme that I hear is to ask God to align you to your design.
Yep.
And it's not about fixing other people around you.
Nope.
To suit you.
That's right.
But it's about being molded for Him.
Yep. If you are
and
constantly trying to get
smoother.
other people to match your wants and your needs, you are going to be constantly facing
turbulence
and unmet expectations and dissatisfaction.
Yeah.
What the turning point is going to be, Lord, change me, mold me, make me the man or the woman you designed me to be for this other person.
Even if you don't even know who that person's going to be. It's good to still pray that way.
I mean, I've been praying for you guys since you were conceived, and I've been praying for the people that you'll be with in the future. You know, Lord, prepare them for one another. And so really, one of my words of advice would also not be for you, but be for your future husband. Would be, do you have a word, like I already said, but also, will you pursue her forever? Because that's the guy's job. It's not the woman's job to be a pursuer.
Yeah. It's to be the prize.
To be the prize. Yep.
To be the bride.
That's right. Be the bride. And then also really, really, really press into the biblical imagery of the husband and wife as Jesus and the church.
Yep.
And me as looking at Jesus, he gave everything for the church. And that forces me to be aware of my selfishness and to deal with my selfishness, because that's not the Christ-like part.
Yeah.
But I need to be willing to be sacrifice, but also walk. So Jesus, well, you know what? We could keep going on this one, but it's just wild if you're willing to look at the biblical imagery and pray about what does that mean for me in this relationship.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
That's homework right there.
That is homework. And that's what I would encourage you to do. You know, a lot of people, again, they spend so much time praying for the person that's perfect for them, but pray that the Lord will really make yourself moldable in the hands of God and let him adjust you and prepare you and then that person that he puts you with, that person becomes your number one ministry in life also.
Well,
because I have a covenant relationship with God, but I don't have a covenant relationship with my children. I do have a covenant relationship with my wife. I don't have a covenant relationship. I mean, that is the next level there. My relationship with my wife.
You and your spouse.
Because
and your children are
I'm not one with anybody else. When I married her, I became one, and we are a new thing. Just like when you gave your life to Jesus, and were water baptized, you came out of the water a new creation.
Yeah.
When we said I do.
Yeah.
We became a new creation together that is
That's
no
good.
longer Matt and it's no longer Sako, and everything that we held and valued and wanted and all of our selfishness, we had to let that die so that we could birth a new thing together that is us together.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
That's good stuff. I like this.
Do you?
Yeah. It's good advice.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I wish the best for you.
Me too. But just be aligned with the Lord and ask him to mold you. Even if you're not married or you're married, it's good to pray that way.
Yep.
In any way, any form. I mean, that's our theme this past few weeks has always been alignment.
Yeah.
And being aligned with your design and his story for you. So
It's good.
marriage is pretty cool. It's pretty exciting.
It is. One of the hardest but most rewarding things you can do.
Yep. And I came out of that.
That's right. You are one of our rewards.
Happy
You and your-
25th. We'll see y'all later.
Yep. See you guys later.
Bye.
If you're watching this on YouTube, like and subscribe, share, help us get the word out there. If you know people that would enjoy rambling with us, then share us with them. And let's grow together. And also comment.
We like
Ask
good
questions.
combos.
Yeah, ask questions. Give us your feedback. You have testimonies related to what we're talking about. Love to see those.